The lineup is now set for this year's FA Cup final. It will be Arsenal against Chelsea. After Frank Lampard's side beat Manchester United by 3-1. Here to reflect on that, Shaka, Hislop, Nicol and Craig Burley. Craig, I really enjoyed yesterday's semi-final, but today just felt so flat.
You enjoyed yesterday's semi-final?
It was good, it was intense, both teams going for it, but the changes you felt that both teams made, in particular United, just kind of took the wind, I thought, out of the excitement of this game.
Well, they went for it in team selection, certainly Arsenal, but they didn't go for it in terms of performance. Shaka sweating up there more than what Man City were at times in the game, but, you know, at the end of the day... he's not allowed to have his fan on. At the end of the day, Solskjaer made a decision, and he left some of the big hitters out, and he changed the shape of the team, and it's been a front three that's been operating really well. In fact, Stevie mentioned in the week against Crystal Palace, it was the difference between the sides and getting the 3 points at Selhurst Park. He has got games coming up. He did have 48 hours less rest, which he rammed down everybody's throat, including his own players, who, by the way, looked as if some of them had given up at the end. There's no doubt about that. But the big thing for me as well was he's played a goalkeeper in the cup competitions, and then he left him out as well. I mean, what kind of signal was that sending out? I'm not playing my strongest team, but I'm not playing my goalkeeper that's played in the cup competitions. I'm going to go back to David de Gea, who had another stinker. So it was a real mess for Manchester United.
OK, let's start then with the goalkeepers. You brought it up. Shaka, De Gea at fault for both of the goals?
Well, the second in particular. Could have done better with the first, no question. It hit him quite full on. But this is, at times you sympathise when you don't have an awful lot of time to react. But then the second goal, that's just down to David de Gea. Hard to explain. I don't know what went wrong or how we got it that wrong.
The problem Manchester United have, obviously, Stevie, is that they've given David de Gea a new contract. He's on almost £400,000 a week. No one's going to take him off your hands at the moment. Yet United, with aspirations, looking towards the Champions League if they qualify next season, David de Gea is going to prove to be a big problem, isn't he?
Well, he hasn't been in the greatest of form. He certainly was awful today. But they're kind of between a rock and a hard place. What do? You can't go and spend a ton of money on a proper goalkeeper and pay this guy the amount of money that he's got. They're just going to have to hope that the goalie coach can work with him and try and build his confidence back up and try and lift him and try and do something similar to what they've done with Pogba. You know, the time we were talking about Pogba needs to leave, he will leave, he should leave, the team's no good with him in it, and they've turned that around. It's going to have to be something as big to turn David de Gea around as well, because right now, every time there's a shot at goal, you're wondering whether they can actually stop it, regardless of how hard it is or where it is.
Or you just bring in Henderson, Craig.
Yeah, you bring him back from Sheffield United, we'll be coming back anyway, but then you're still stuck with a couple of players, one of them in Alexis Sanchez, who's on reportedly $500,000 a week, and you just mentioned somewhere around 400,000 a week. I mean, even for Manchester United, that's a heck of a lot of dough for a couple of players that are not going to be playing, whatever happens with Sanchez come the transfer window. So I think they're going to have to work with it for the time being. But look, you know, Lampard stuck with his thought process in terms of he plays Willy Caballero in goal in the cup competitions. But he only made one... OK, he changed the shape of the team. But he only left out one key player, and that arguably has been their best player in Christian Pulisic.
Who he said had a bit of a knock going into this game. All the other guys more or less have been playing. Ole
Gunnar Solskjaer left out Pogba, Martial and Greenwood. That's been the hub of what Manchester United have been good at. That slick passing play, that link up with Fernandes. And he made that big decision because they're prioritising the top four, it seems. I mean, I'm sure everybody's prioritising the top four, easy for me to say. But they've got West Ham, who are safe at home in midweek. I mean, come on. This just says to me again, and I'll reiterate this, for those Man United fans that just can't stomach me saying it, there is and will be, in my opinion, until proven otherwise, next year, when it comes to the crux fighting Liverpool and Man City, a question mark over this manager. And that remains. Not just on today's result, but as a generalisation. And until he proves otherwise at this club, and toppling those clubs that I mentioned, that question mark's not going to go away.
There's no question. He was laying the groundwork for playing a weakened side today. And I don't get why you do that. You end up bringing all those so-called superstars on, play them for an hour, win the game, and then take them off. I don't know how many times I've said it. And actually, if Ole sat in his office and said to himself, right, how can I make a mess of this? Because you know what? We're flying. Nobody wants to play against us. We're scoring goals. Everything's great. Everybody's got a smile on their face. I know what I'll do. I'll play half a team, get it completely misjointed by changing the shape, and that should work well. And that's what he did. I'm sorry. Football clubs should be all about the result on the field. And to do that, you put your best team out. You don't try and be clever. And players and teams thrive on winning games and scoring goals. They don't thrive on losing semi-finals of the FA Cup and having an absolute disaster. And then on top of it, your so-called number one goalkeeper has a complete and utter shocker.
As Craig and Stevie say, Shaq, they've got West Ham, who are safe, who are already on the beach, who are happy. They know they're going to be in the Premier League next season on Wednesday at Old Trafford. This is a game that Manchester United should turn up and win comfortably. Today was a proper game, a chance to get into the final, a chance for Ole to silence Craig and say, look, I've won the FA Cup, and then we have that to pay. But at least you're giving it a go. The changes that you made, you knew were going to have an effect, and they did right from the start.
Look, the Oakham playing Manchester United teams of old would have gone into this game to win it. Whether they did or not, the manager would have given them a chance to do that. Added to everything that both Craig and Stevie just said, keep in mind, he has 5 substitutes at his disposal. So play a stronger team. And if the game is won, if you're 2 up after an hour, you can make 5 changes and have an even better effect on this team in terms of their rest for the run-in. But you start the week off by offering the excuse that you have 48 hours less rest than Chelsea and making a big song and dance about that, giving the team an excuse to lose. Then you make the changes, in formation, and you lose. Now you have David de Gea going into the run-in with absolutely no confidence. You've got Sergio Romero, who's looking for the exit doors as quickly as he can find it. He's not going to be happy, not that he would have been called on between now and the end of the season anyway. And you've got everybody else in the dressing room looking around at each other, wondering, well, what do we do now? Where do we go from here? I mean, added to the mistakes with De Gea, and I think you saw it, especially after the second goal, is that defense starts to play within themselves because there's a breakdown of trust between the centre-backs, Lindelof and Maguire, and they had left a lot to be desired on the field as well. And the goalkeeper, you don't want to allow anybody to shoot from anywhere because all of a sudden it's starting to feel like things are going in as they once did. And now Manchester United have taken 2 steps back when, as much as they're still very much in pole position as compared to Leicester in qualifying for the top 4, I think today's performance, the formation has done more harm than good.
Dan, I expect United to beat West Ham. I mean, I would be surprised if they didn't. But sometimes when you get yourself safe in the Premier League, you don't go on the beach. You sort of play with a bit more freedom. And listen, if they, and it's a big if, but if they were to drop points or if they were to lose to West Ham at home, he's left the door open for people and United fans to say, well, that's the game we lost momentum. The semi-final of the FA Cup was the game when we lost that bit of momentum that we had garnished over the period since Christmas time and obviously since the restart. Because when the hell did a semi-final of an FA Cup become the time to make so many changes in the side? It really does beg our belief. And he's came unstuck in this one. It might work out for him in the end, but who knows?
Let's give some credit to Chelsea. Craig mentioned it. Frank Lampard putting out a relatively strong side. Pulisic rested, of course, because of an injury. but overall by far the better team, despite the mistakes that we saw from United. Stevie?
You think so?
No?
Chelsea weren't particularly great, by the way. I'll tell you, it was a toss of a coin who wanted to pass the ball to the opposition instead of their own team. And the fact of the matter is, yes, they got three goals. Two of them are complete and utter howlers, and the other one's an own goal. Listen, were Chelsea better than United? Yes. But I'll tell you what, they weren't much better. I mean, they couldn't string passes together to save their life, either of the two of them. But yeah, slightly better, but I wouldn't get carried away. It's a win, and in the semi-final, it doesn't matter how good or bad you are. If you win, you'll take it.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.